Aloha. My name is Brian Minatoya, and I'm here at the City and County of Honolulu Rental Assistance Office. And today I am going to present to you the Moderate Rehab Program at Academy Gardens Apartments operated by Hawaiian Properties. Hello, aloha. This video will explain to you the step process and application documents that you would expect when applying for the Academy Garden Apartments. Let's go over some important information. If you or anyone in your family is a person with disabilities and you require a specific accommodation in order to fully utilize our programs and services, please talk to our staff so that we can understand how we can accommodate you. The purpose for this briefing is to explain how the Moderate Rehabilitation Program works, prepare you for your interview, explain the content of the application packet that you're expected to receive, and talk about the housing quality standards requirements. How this program works is that the City and County of Honolulu receives federal funds to administer this program. The federal funds come from the Housing and Urban Development HUD, where our city and county staff follow those rules and regulations, and also in combination with any city and county administrative rules. In this program, you would be expected to pay 30% of your gross adjusted income towards rent. But the minimum rent of this program would be $50. The Moderate Rehab Program has a lot of differences compared to the Housing Choice Voucher Program, otherwise known as Section 8, but they're quite similar. The Moderate Rehab Program, MRP, provides a tenant with rental assistance to a unit only at the Moderate Rehab Project. This place is a certain location located in Honolulu area, and the rent would include all utilities and services. Again, this program provides a tenant with rental assistance only to the unit at this project only. The difference from this program compared to the Housing Choice Program, the Section 8, is that the Section 8 program allows for very low-income families to choose and lease a safe, decent, affordable housing that is privately owned and rental market throughout the entire Oahu area. So there is some differences between the Moderate Rehab Program versus with the Housing Choice Program. One of the most important information is the factor of eligibility, income limits. So when applying for this program, please understand that there's income limits where we need to determine to see if you're eligible for this property and assistance. To do so, we will collect your information and understand what your gross annual income is. Income can be sources from like employment to benefits, like Social Security, Department of Human Services, General Assistance, and other sources of income we would count. If you are able to do some calculations at home, you would look at the documents and see what your projected annual income is. For example, if you receive $1,000 per month from Social Security, you would times that by 12, and that will indicate to you what your projected annual income would be. So in understanding that, looking at this slide, you would also see family size. So this property only includes studio size units, and so it is important to know that the maximum occupancy based on HUD standards is 2 people. So 2 people is a max for a studio size unit. If a single person makes more than the area median income 50%, they will be declared ineligible for assistance. For example, a single person earning $50,000 would not be eligible. Based on this slide you see here, they exceeded $42,300. This income information you see here is effective as of April 1st, 2021. So we would update this periodically as information comes out by HUD. Alrighty, so let's talk about the step process in applying and getting leased to the Academy Gardens Apartments Mod Rehab. The first step is to do a pre-interview informational briefing, which will cover program eligibility requirements, income limits, application process, inspection requirements, discuss that there is a limited amount of vacant units, so it's a time-sensitive manner where this opportunity does not come by too often, and you can think of it as a first-come, first-serve situation. Then, after this meeting, you'll be scheduled for a site visit. So it is required for you to sign up for a time to check out the unit and see the unit and to see if you want to live at the Academy Gardens Apartments. While you are at the Academy Gardens Apartments, you are needing to obtain an application from their Hawaiian Properties representative. So just to highlight, Hawaiian Properties is the property manager for the Academy Gardens Apartments. So there's a lot of communication and also the decision that they make to say you are a tenant to them will be weighed upon their own office procedures and their own screening procedures as well. After you're done seeing the property and obtaining the application, you would need to be sure you return that application to the Hawaiian Properties office. So it is then they'll screen your application, and should you be eligible and they would approve your application, they'll let us know that you are been approved by their office. Once you are approved by the Hawaiian Properties office, we would then reach out to you to schedule an appointment, and this is when we'll ask you to come in and complete some application documents that should be done prior to this interview. We will go over all these application documents and things that you should consider already gathering so that this upcoming meeting will be very successful. There'll be required documents to submit to examiner at this interview appointment. You need to submit any follow-up requested documents. It's noted that all adult members should attend this interview, and you must be prepared to present photo IDs and verifications and provide all information about the household to this meeting. After this meeting is complete, the examiner will look through all your documents and determine your final eligibility for the Academy Gardens program. Should you be eligible and deemed approved by our office, we would then work with placement to the Academy Gardens. We would then also determine your final share of rent so that when you move in, you understand what your rent's going to be. And also, the Academy Gardens will provide you a rental lease and get you started with a move-in date. So that's the step 6, the 6-step process of leasing with the Academy Gardens. Before I go on to the application packet, I want to share with you some pictures of the Academy Gardens to give you a glimpse of what the apartments at Academy Gardens look like. Here is some pictures to get you started about what the Academy Gardens apartments look like. This is a view of the 2-story Academy Gardens apartments. I'm going to provide you additional detail of the units very shortly. Please listen on in so that if you have any questions, you can also ask our staff members. When you are having these questions, you should have these questions answered, and they can help you out, providing you more information about the property, if not mentioned in this presentation. Academy Gardens has a total number of units of 39 units with an on-site resident manager. It's studio units with one bathroom. The property manager is Hawaiian Properties, and they are located, the property manager, at 1165 Bethel Street, second floor. P.O. Box 38078 is their mailing address, but their physical address, again, is 1165 Bethel Street, second floor, and located in Honolulu, Hawaii, 96837. Property of Academy Gardens Apartments, that is located on 1302 Victoria Street. See this map here? It's on the corner of Victoria and also Kinau. The amenities include a laundry area. Each unit offers vinyl flooring, refrigerator, range and oven, and AC in unit. All utilities are included in rent. However, there's a water and electricity allowance, so if you run up a large electricity bill and overabuse electricity and water, the amount is subject to adjustment. The rent, effective of April 6, 2021, is $527. Again, your rent portion will be determined based on your based on your income information. Therefore, your rent share would be 30% of your income towards rent. So, for example, if I earn $1,000, $300 will be my rent, and the difference will be covered by this program. There will be a security deposit expectation, which is equivalent to the first month's rent, which is typically $527. Applicants are required to provide information regarding their birth dates, social security numbers, previous housing landlord reference, and other information that Hawaiian Properties may request. Let's go over some additional information of the videos and also the pictures. Here is a corner view from the Victoria and Kinau Street. Here is a picture of the security gate. Here is a walkway leading into the building. Here is a hallway leading to the apartments. Here's a picture of an example bathroom. Here's a picture of an example bathroom. Here's a picture of an example shower stall. This picture here features a removable barrier. This is a picture showing the kitchen area. Some areas include an accessible kitchen prep, so not all units are the same, but some are accessible. Here is a picture of the kitchen preparation area. Here is a picture of the pantry area. Here is a picture of storage cabinets, refrigerator, entryway, overhead lighting, living and sleeping area, cable and telephone outlets, interior stairwell, mailbox and suggestion box, laundry area on site, coin laundry, courtyard, rest area, each unit is individually monitored for electricity, as mentioned earlier. There is a water electricity allowance, where that if your unit is abusing and using way too much electricity, say you ran the air conditioner for a long period of time every single day, they may subject you to an adjustment. So be careful when renting here not to overuse an excess amount of electricity to your unit. Central water heating, also a on-site resident manager. This concludes the pictures of the Academy Gardens to help you show some examples of what the unit may look like and the surrounding areas may look like. Okay, let's return to the application packet that you are expected to receive once you are deemed eligible for the Academy Gardens by the Hawaiian Properties or the property manager of Academy Gardens. Some housekeeping. Please be sure that when you have set your interview with your examiner, to please bring original and photocopies of your documents. You must photocopy all your documents and you must bring them to your interview. If you do not bring the original and photocopies, your application may be canceled or delayed. Providing just photocopies will not be acceptable. So, for example, your birth certificate, please make a photocopy with our staff so that you can submit your photocopy to our office and have our staff review the original so we can compare that your copy is legitimate. When reviewing your application, your pages will be numbered, and you can use this presentation here to serve as a reference to learn more about your application and how to best fill it out. So let's go over the first 6 pages. The first 6 pages is regarding your household information of your members. You would enter information of your head of household on page 1, and then you would enter your information for other adult members or other household members on pages 2 to 3. Include information if anyone is over the age of 18, is attending higher education classes, and is classified as a full-time student. After you're done entering the other household members or adults, please also enter information for all children under the age of 18 throughout the rest of the pages. The documentation for each household member is as follows. For each household member, we need a social security card to verify the social security number. We also need a birth certificate. If you are over the age of 18, we can also verify, instead of the birth certificate, in lieu of the birth certificate, we can use your state issued photo ID, like the driver's license. If you have children, please also be mindful to submit custodial documents, adoption papers, or other proof that the children are members to your household. So if you're a full-time student, to please provide us registration documents. If you are married and your name has changed due to the marriage or divorce, please provide us your marriage certificate and or divorce decrees. If applicable, please also provide us your alien registration card with copies from both front and back side of that card. On pages 7 through 8, we'll discuss your employment income. So the majority of the application will be asking you information about your household and also your household's income information and asset information. So The following pages of pages 7 through 8 will ask you information about your current employment income information. So please provide name, address, telephone number of the employer that you are currently working with. Then also provide us copies of 4 months of your consecutive pay stubs. For example, if you're applying in the month of April, you would need to obtain December, January, February, and March's pay stubs. If you do have difficulty obtaining these pay stubs, we will discuss some other documents later in the session that you could explore when using to verify, such as an employee's report form, or if your employer is able to generate a letter to verify your employment status, that could be another way for our program to verify your employment. Please include any other type of income you expect to receive from employment, such as tips, commissions, profit sharing, or if you're unsure if this is a wage or income from employment, add it here so that the examiner can review it and check your verifications. For example, if you work for a mobile app such as DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, you want to put that information here so our office can review it and be sure that you are addressing each type of income that relates to employment. Please also include your most current copies of your federal and state tax returns, including Schedule C if you're self-employed. Our office is required to use the system called Enterprise Income Verification, otherwise known as EIV. Each housing agency has access to your labor, Social Security, and SSI benefit information. This information is used to assist our staff to help determine the share of rent and non-reporting of income, fraud. You would best be sure to not be caught doing fraud, as fraud is a crime and also may affect your application where you may be deemed ineligible and also have very heavy consequences. So be careful, read every page, and ask every family member what their income situation is and also the asset situation, as any non-reporting of income can bear very serious penalties. On pages 9 through 10, it will highlight information that any other source of income besides employment can be reported on. So if your family member receives any of the following types of income, please provide their name, address, and telephone number of the sources of added income and information about the income they received. So these are examples of the income that you may see listed on this page, such as unemployment compensation, Social Security, pensions, disability income. At the bottom of that list, you have the opportunity to declare any other type of income your family has. So if it's not listed earlier, you should put that information in this spot named Other and mention it to our office and provide verification and information about it, like the name, address, and telephone number of the source of income and about the amount of the income you receive. So for example, you receive income sporadically through a benefit agency that's not listed earlier. This will be a good spot to mention that agency. If you receive any income from any other source, like your someone outside your household paying for any of your bills or giving you money, you should also provide that information. So say an auntie is helping me by giving me $200 each month, $200 each month, and I can count this as income where I can use this to get by. Well, in our definition, that is income. So I would either need to write a self-statement that I received $200 from my auntie, or I need to have my auntie write a letter so that I can attach that to this application. On page 10, I will ask about childcare and disability expenses. So amounts anticipated to be paid by the family for the care of children 12 years of age or under, but only where such care is necessary to enable a family member to actively seek employment, be gainfully employed, or to further his or her education. Please bring the name and mailing addresses and verification of the child care provider. On this page 10, it will also explain about disability expenses. So if you pay for care or equipment for a disabled member of your household, so that either the disabled member or another member of your family may work, please bring the name and mailing address and information of the care provider. On page 10, you would also declare any information you receive of any types of contributions, gifts, or loans. And also, on page 10, you would declare any real estate you own. No matter how big or small the property is or what type, please bring information about the current value of the property. If you own property and rent it, bring the address of the property and information about how much income you receive and what expenses you have for the real property. So bring the most recent last year, for example, Schedule E form from your income tax returns. Bring a copy of the real property assessment card. On page 11, it will ask you questions about your household's assets. It will start by asking about your checking account and also your savings accounts. List all account numbers, including Christmas clubs, certificate of deposit, IRA, and other accounts on your application, and bring in a copy of your most recent bank statements for the last 3 months. This includes accounts that are jointly owned by any household member and accounts that are open with a zero balance. On the same page, there will be a list of other sources of assets where you need to check yes or no that you receive this type of asset. For example, stocks or bonds. If you do receive or have a stock or bond, you would check yes and provide us the most recent statement of that asset to verify. On pages 12, it will ask your household information about drug, criminal activity, and sex offender information. So if you or any member has been arrested and convicted for any drug-related or violent criminal activity, please provide the information on the application. Methamphetamine, registered sex offender, and criminal convictions. Let's talk about that. It is a federal regulation for a lifetime ban from housing assistance if you are convicted of the manufacturing, production, or distribution of methamphetamine. It is also a lifetime ban from federal housing assistance if you are a registered sex offender. All other criminal convictions carry a 3-year window from your application. Criminal convictions we are focusing on for Section 8 screening would be violent criminal activity or illegal drug activity. So, for example, speeding tickets may not carry heavily on your screening for Section 8. However, if it's a violent criminal activity, that may be something our office may need to look deeper into to see if you qualify for a program, depending how recent that criminal conviction was. State laws allow the use of medical marijuana. However, federal laws do not recognize the use of medical marijuana. Marijuana is considered to be a controlled substance. If you or any member of your household are found to manufacture, possess, or distribute a controlled substance from your assisted unit, the family will be automatically terminated. On page 12, you would declare if you have sold or given away assets in the past 2 years, such as giving a property or any amount of money to another person. Please provide information on the application about those assets. Page 12, it will ask you if you used other names and social security numbers. So if you or any member ever use any name, social security number other than the one listed on your application, please provide the information. Page 13, the question will talk about rental assisted housing. If you or any member of your household is living or had resided in any assisted rental housing, such as public housing, please provide this information. It is Section 8's screening criteria where if you owe any monies to any housing authorities, such as State of Hawaii Section 8 or State of Hawaii Public Housing, your application may not be approved. So it'll be a good time now to verify if you owe any money to any previous housing authorities and start to take care of any old balances so that that balance may not affect your future Section 8 or your current Section 8 application. On page 13, we'll ask you a question about fraud. So if you or any member of the household committed fraud in any housing program, please provide that information on your application. On page 13, they will ask about blood levels of lead. If there are any children 7 years and under who have elevated blood levels of lead, please provide name and documentation. On page 13, for qualified elderly and disabled head of household or spouse family members, you may qualify for a medical expense deduction. Medical expense deduction are medical expenses not covered by insurance. These are typically out of pocket. Bring the names and addresses of physicians, medical provider, dental provider, pharmacy, and other health providers. Medical insurance premiums or amounts deducted from your pay can also be considered a medical expense for medical insurance. Please understand that information about expenses deductions may or may not be a dollar for a dollar value. Here to highlight about your application, it is a Title 18, Section 1001 of the United States Code states that a person is guilty of a felony for knowingly and willingly making false or fraudulent statements to any department or agency of the United States. Any attempt to obtain public housing, any rent subsidy or rent reduction by false information, impersonation, failure to disclose, or other fraud, and any act of assistance to such attempt is a crime under Hawaii revised statutes. So it's important not to commit fraud and to be sure your application is the best of your knowledge with all verifications reported to our office. There will be a translation statement included in your application. Should you need assistance with translation, please speak with our staff so that we can assist you with a language interpreter at no charge to you. Attached to your documentation is additional documents that is required from you to review and also complete. This application document here is called the supplement to application. Well, I like to think of it as an emergency contact. So you would fill your name, your contact information, and also include somebody you would like to think about as an emergency contact. Should you choose not to have anyone at this time as a provided contact, you should check the box that says check this box if you choose not to provide contact information and sign in date to complete this form. You would also sign a medicinal marijuana statement of understanding that medical marijuana is not allowed in this program and is considered a controlled substance. The head of household and the co-headed spouse will need to sign this document. Another document will be the family summary sheet, where you as the head of household will list your last name, first name, your relationship, sex, date of birth, and declaration of your citizenship status. So for every household member, in this case, it could either be yourself or yourself and somebody else. You include your name, your relationship to your household, sex, date of birth, and declaration of your citizenship status. In your packet, you will receive 2 copies of your declaration of 214 status. To complete this form, you need to be sure that this form completes for every member of the household, including all adults and minors. Adults will sign for themselves, and also adults will sign for the minors that they are guardians for. For further instructions about this document, please see the reverse side of this form for more information. As a highlight, you would check box 1 if you are a U.S. citizen or naturalized citizen. No other documentation is required. You would select box 2 if you are a citizen of federal states of Micronesia, Palau, or the Marshall Islands. If you're checking box 3 or 4, you need to attach an additional document that's going to come up in the following slides, which will show that we need to verify your current immigration status, which is eligible for our program. So you may have an eligible immigration status, such as a permanent resident ID or alien registration card, that we will need to review to seek the status of that immigration or residency status. If box 5 is selected, you need to be careful as that could be considered an ineligible immigration status family member. If box 5 is selected, you are an eligible family member who does not have an eligible immigration status. If box 6 is selected, a non-contending family member form must be completed. See the staff member for these forms if these apply to your household. Again, if this box 5 or box 6 is selected, this means they are an ineligible immigration status family member. This is a verification consent form for alien card statuses. Typically, again, for those who have alien registration ID numbers, or if they have immigration ID card with alien numbers. So please be sure to copy both sides of that card and also fill out this form to be added to your application. This other form is called Authorization for the Release of Information Privacy Act Notice. This is a HUD authorization form which is required for us to have every participant and applicant sign. Every adult member over the age of 18 will need to sign this form. So on the reverse side, please be sure not to forget to sign this form so that we can verify your income information and also be allowed to input your name and work with you for our program. As stated earlier, if you owe any money to any housing agencies, public housing agencies that might affect your application. So this notice here is something you need to sign, and each adult member will also need to sign. In your packet, you would receive 2 copies of this document. So if you need additional documents, it probably not need to be your case because the maximum members of your Academy Guards application is 2. So you're all set. But maybe you make a mistake in your application, or maybe your application is incomplete. Please be sure to talk to our staff if we're missing some of these additional documents I've been mentioning so far. The next document I want to talk about is the consent for release of criminal history and sex offender records. This will allow us to gain some information from you to understand your criminal history and sex offender history, if any. Please be sure that if you answered yes to any of these questions, to explain in detail on the reverse side about the dates, charges, and outcome. And please be sure to print, sign, and date for each adult family member. Here are some additional forms to assist you in verifying some assets and income information that might be trouble. For example, our program requires 3 months of bank statements to verify your bank accounts. So if you have trouble obtaining some of these bank statements, you may ask your financial institution to complete this attached form called the asset verification form. You'll bring this to your teller, request them to complete this form, and we can use this to verify your assets at that financial institution. Similar is your employer's report form. Perhaps you just started working maybe a month ago and you don't have 4 months of pay stubs. Or maybe your pay stubs don't reflect your current wage or your current work activity. Please have your employer, like your supervisor or your human resources representative, to complete this employer's report, and be sure to sign on the bottom left-hand corner as applicant. On the last page of your document is notes of today's meeting and also items to submit form. So if you forget how much months of employment pay stubs you need to bring, this will hold as notes of how much you need to bring and some other things that you should consider of not forgetting to add to your application. As a quick review of our housing quality standards, the goal for inspections is for your safety and also sanitation. There will be an initial inspection upon lease up, and thereafter there will be an annual or biannual inspection, including a random quality control inspection, which will be scheduled. In this picture here, you can see some examples of things that might not work for a program and some things that definitely will not do at all. For example, the broken windows, exposed plumbing. So be sure to report any repairs or things that your landlord should address so that your future inspections will be successful. Um, our inspector will check each room and your entire living area, your bathroom, your shower, bathtub, your water, and your electricity is all working order. Um, your microwave oven is working, the stove and fridge, and your smoke detector is working as well. Let's go over some frequently asked questions. Besides checking if there are monies owed to another housing agency, do you screen for anything else? We conduct a criminal background check on all adults that is part of your household. So if an adult has been convicted of any violent criminal activity or drug activity for the past 3 years, we may not approve this person to be a member of your household. Another question is, can I have Section 8 voucher if I leave Academy Garden? No. However, if you applied for the Section 8 voucher and you are also applying for the Academy Gardens, should your name come up for Section 8 vouchers in the future and you are still eligible for the voucher, you may transfer or talk about um, using that assistance instead. So that'll be an opportunity not lost if you have applied in 2 wait lists. Another question is, how long is the lease period? The lease rent is for 1 year, and the landlord may ask you for renewals after that 1 year is finished. So the initial term will be for 1 year. Another question is, what will my share of the rent be? The answer is, if you were determined eligible for mod rehab program, you will pay 30% of your household adjusted income. What about my security deposit? Security deposit is your responsibility. There may be a change depending on the contract rent amount. So if you're viewing this video several years from now, the rent amount may have changed. So please be sure that that information is not um, the same every year. As a reminder, please complete the Section 8 application. Please be sure you sign out for a visit for the Academy Gardens. Please complete a Hawaiian property application after you visit the property. And if selected, all adults should attend the upcoming interview with the examiner. Don't be late for the interview. And please start to consider gathering your documents so that you have a portfolio ready for your next interview. Please be sure that when you complete that document, that your name is on all verification forms that are submitted to our office. Additional forms can be obtained when you are visiting our office, but also is available online on our website. This concludes our Academy Gardens online video briefing. Should you have any more questions, please contact our reception